Hello, and welcome to the Plain Language Open Research Office presentation. My name is Andy Strohmeier, and I will be presenting today. A brief introduction as to who I am. I am the CTSI's Special Populations Coordinator. The Special Populations Corps, now merged with the Community Engagement Corps, is responsible for increasing the inclusion of special populations in projects to improve health in our region. Special populations are defined by the NIH as populations that are typically underserved in research, which include, but are not limited to, pediatrics, older adults, people with chronic conditions, new Americans, and people who have been historically minoritized within the healthcare system. A little background about myself, which should provide some insight as to why I'm involved with this project. I am a formally trained high school and middle school English teacher and joined the CTSI some years ago after many years as a teacher in Western New York in both an urban and suburban setting. I have a passion for language and storytelling, and I believe that there is a way to close the gap between the knowledge of the community and the knowledge of the researcher by utilizing language and storytelling in the right ways. Just as a brief reminder, or for those of you who may be unfamiliar with the CTSI, an introduction. The CTSI is an infrastructure-based institute with a vision to perform and enhance research to improve health and reduce health disparities in our communities. The CTSI recognizes that those who participate in clinical research typically have better health outcomes, and with that in mind, we work closely with researchers and area communities to increase research participation and inform community members and allies of research outcomes that can have an impact on the health of our communities. I'd like to take this time to introduce you to our CTSI's Plain Language team, which consists of myself, Dr. Laureen Tumiel-Berhalter, Christopher Schobert, Ashley Regling, Keenan Gibbons, Grace McKenzie, Marshall Brooks, and unpictured here, Dr. Teresa Quatrin. This is a multidisciplinary team of varied backgrounds, and each of us have a unique skill set when it comes to plain language. So now, to dive into the topic at hand, what is plain language? Plain language, also called lay language or plain English, is communication that your audience can understand the first time they read it or the first time they hear it. The Plain Writing Act of 2010 defines plain language as writing that is clear, concise, well-organized, and follows other best practices appropriate to the subject or field and intended audience. This act is a federal law passed by the U.S. government to help regulate and guide the way laws were written. So while it doesn't necessarily apply here, I'm sure you can still understand why it should be taken into consideration. So, how do we make this helpful for researchers? Put very simply, short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs. To break that down a little further, you want to use short words, 2 syllables or less, whenever possible. Of course, there are times when words must be a bit longer. For instance, there's not really a way to shorten the word allergy. Short sentences, 20 words or less. More often, the less words you use, the better. Lastly, short paragraphs, 4 sentences or less. You also want to aim to have your reading level be at a 5th grade reading level or lower. At the very least, it must be under a 10th grade reading level. So now that we know what plain language means for researchers, why is it important? Simply, plain language connects the researcher to the communities they serve. It decreases the esoteric nature of research, thus allowing a greater population of people to understand it. It brings the researcher down from the ivory tower. And because it leads to an expanded audience, it allows for more people to participate in research in all facets. Expanding on that a bit, researchers absolutely must embrace plain language. Through no fault of our own, researchers and scientists have failed to deliver research and medical information in plain, easy to access, and easy to understand language. You'll see that proven in a few slides. In a field as competitive as ours, where we often have to battle for funding or positions or other opportunities, it became more beneficial for us to speak and write in highly technical, esoteric fashions where our knowledge and expertise can shine its brightest. We've published papers, we're recognized in journals, won awards, and more. In doing this, though, we've left behind the communities that we serve. Here's a quick breakdown of some data from the communities living in the city of Buffalo. As you can see, like many urban populations, there are a disproportionate amount of minoritized individuals and a disproportionate amount of individuals living below the poverty line. 71.4% of the population of Buffalo has a high school degree or lesser, and only 20% are considered college ready. Another advantage that plain language gives to researchers is that it increases disciplinary science. Plain language cuts through the technical language of disciplines, including words, terms, and phrases known by both disciplines, but that may have a different meaning across disciplines, and words, terms, or phrases known by only one discipline. As we all know, interdisciplinary research is on the rise, and funding opportunities often favor team science collaborations. Plain language also breaks down jargon barriers. Allow me to demonstrate. Let's go back to middle school for a moment and consider the word ruler. In math class and science class, this is a tool for measurement. Everybody knows what this ruler is. It has 12 inches on it. It also equals 1 foot. However, what is a ruler in history class? A king, a queen, an emperor, a president, someone who rules a country. Granted, this might be a little silly, but it hammers the point home. Two people could be brilliant in their respective fields, but generate utter confusion when discussing their field with other scientists because they both use similar jargon. Plain language can help cut through these barriers. Another example, consider Star Wars syndrome. Let's look at these two phrases. Same syllables, same words, same sentence length. The way we phrase our sentences can be very important, especially with new Americans and those who speak English as a second language. Look at these two phrases and imagine a new American trying to understand them. Which is easier? There is a clear answer. We think we're being clear, but we're not. Here's an analysis of 6 abstracts presented to the community. These abstracts were quick little 5 to 7 sentence paragraphs describing what the study did and what its findings were. A very quick breakdown of the chart. The numbers of the Flesch-Kincaid and Smog indexes are equal to the years of education you would need to understand the material that was presented. Keeping in mind the data from a few slides ago, where only 20% of Buffalo residents were considered college ready, the average abstract presented to them required an undergraduate degree to understand, with some almost requiring a doctorate. And only one of the abstracts presented had a readability percentage of over 50%, meaning that when these were presented during the event, less than half of the attendees who went specifically to hear about our research were able to understand it. Now that we understand how we must embrace plain language as a tool to connect with our communities better, let's talk strategies. This slide and the next give a very quick introduction to 2 readability indexes. These indexes use math to break down your writing and tell you how readable it is to your audience. They have withstood the test of time and have been studied and accepted widely. Here is the Flesch-Kincaid grade level index. You can see the math breakdown at the bottom. Used widely and highly regarded for its reliability. The Flesch-Kincaid grade level index can also be easily added to Microsoft Word spell check. As reported in a previous slide, the number equals the American school grade level you would need in order to comprehend the material. You want to aim to have your Flesch-Kincaid grade level between 5th grade or 10th grade or lower for maximum readability. Here's the Smog Readability Index. It stands for the simple measure of gobbledygook. Like the Flesch-Kincaid, it tells you how many years of education you need to understand a text. It is best for texts of 30 sentences or more. It is widely accepted as a standard readability index for healthcare research and is backed up by years of research. Some very quick tips for writing readable texts. Like we stated before, aim for 5th grade reading level or lower. Try to make sentences with no more than 20 words long. Use words with 1 or 2 syllables whenever possible. Use words that are common in plain language when you can. Try to make paragraphs no more than 4 sentences long. And generally, try to make the information as simple as possible. Additional details can be shared with the participant during screening or on the consent form. Here's a very quick example. We've got a flyer for a cognitive study. Participants would complete a questionnaire, do an end-back memory test, play Tetris, and watch a Tetris video for approximately 1.5 hours. The location is posted and details are given as to how you can reach out to participate. Seems pretty straightforward, but we here on the Plain Language team think that UB can do better. Here's what we've made. We've changed the title and used more commonly used words. We broke down the previously listed items and made them very short sentences with very short words. Here's a side-by-side. You can really tell the difference here. Same study, but one flyer is much easier to read. You'll also note that we made the text bigger to take advantage of the negative space that wasn't being used. At the bottom of the slide, you'll note the grade level. The left has a grade of 9.5, which honestly is not bad, while the revised flyer has a grade level of 4.9, meaning someone with a 5th grade reading level can understand it. Again, it's the same study, but which flyer do you think has a better chance of recruiting from a wider audience? Lastly, here are some resources for researchers to use to become bilingual in plain language and to improve the accessibility of their material. Firstly, ask the nerds. That's us. The CTSI can help investigators present their research to the community and colleagues in plain language. There's a wide variety of materials we can help with. To the right, you'll see that we have developed a quick little sheet for readability writing tips with strategies and examples. That can be found on the CTSI's website in the Recruitment Resources Toolkit under the Plain Language tab. For a consultation on plain language and research readability, please contact us at plainlanguage@buffalo.edu. Next up is a quick refresher on other services that the CTSI offers, including general research consultations, the aforementioned toolkit, and online study listings and participant databases. Here are some quick references and resources. And that will conclude our presentation. I'd like you to take the time for joining me today. And I would just like to also point out some future plain language related projects. We're working with Dr. Zhang on a novel AI that can translate materials into plain language. We'll also host consultations and workshops and hope to generate tutorials on analyzing and improving the readability of your materials. Thank you again for attending. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please feel free to reach out to me. Once again, my name is Andy Strohmeier, and my email is awstrohm@buffalo.edu. Thank you so much.